Calxiyn and Hunter here, and today we are talking about Neo taking over the world, which should surprise no one.
Because it's already taken over your brain, every waking thought, most of your outfit, and half of your hair. In the same way that things keep on evolving into crabs, the inevitable outcome, other people get that reference, the inevitable outcome of all of RWBY discourse is accepting that Neo is going to take over the world.
Yes.
It eventually becomes Neo all the way down.
So I had this theory last episode. I don't remember why, but it just hit me. It just came to me, okay? I think that it would be really cool if the reference of the OP, everything coming from Neo and everything, all of the little sparkly her illusion stuff, is that she is going to hostily take over Wonderland. Some people were taking that very literally, and they were sort of thinking, oh, this is all from Neo's imagination. But what if it was supposed to be that Neo is going to control everything in the end? And so here's the idea I have. So come with me, because I'm gonna write the next episode for you, okay? We finally decide that it's time to come back to Neo, okay? Because she's sort of been this presence that she's around, but we never see her.
And they know to be frightened of her.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've kind of given it a couple episodes of there's no Neo.
She's like a monster in a monster movie. You don't see it right away. First, you gotta spend the first act kind of showing hints of him. And it's only really at the end where you're there's the shark.
And because we're
running
out of locations for them to go to, if we go by the OP and take that at face value, we're almost at the tree already. So I feel that we need to get into the second act of whatever is going on with Neo being the main antagonist ? And so here's what I got. They leave that area and they go maybe to Jean's house, because if he's old, he must live somewhere, I'm sure. So they go to Jean's house and, whatever, they rest because they haven't slept for literally hours and hours and hours. And then at the end of the episode, we cut back to Neo, okay? And so we have Neo, and she's sitting in some sort of throne, but in a public area. Because the swamp was attacked, all of the people that were on the party boat all flee to the Toyland. Like the Atlas refugees flee to Vacuo. They all flee the Acre, and they go there to get help and recover and whatever for safety. In the middle of the town square, we see Neo when she's doing her little,
I imagine she does
her little pose.
Conan the Barbarian looking bored at the throne, one leg kind of propped up.
Yeah, she's doing what I drew. I drew this a couple weeks ago. So she's on the throne and
very
she's
girl boss,
looking very girl boss, very menacingly, right? Then we hear a voice, okay? So bear with me. So we basically hear someone speaking as Neo is sitting here, and then we get cuts of the Jabberwalkers are all around the town, right? In all of the alleyways and stuff. The people are surrounded by the Jabberwalkers, okay? And they sort of snarl, and there's a scene of them snarling and whatever, and there's kind of dark lighting and everything, evil lighting, right? So all of the townspeople, they're all surrounded by the Jabberwalkers, and we hear a voice, and the voice is then talking to the citizens. People of the Crimson Acre, if you do not comply with our demands, you will not reincarnate, or whatever, right? Because
Real sick to the Jabberwocky
may not know about the reincarnating thing, but she at least knows that they're afraid of the Jabberwocker.
She understands how to threaten people.
Yeah, and that's really the only thing that matters, is that everybody's afraid of the Jabberwocker, and that's all that matters, right? And so she basically puts out a bounty, and she says, bring me Team RWBY, or we will kill all of you. If you see these people, get them, basically. That's the declaration that Neo makes to the entire town, is that these people are fugitives. There is a bounty on their head. If any of you help them, you will die. Little Hunchback Frollo going after Esmeralda kind of vibe. If you are found to be harboring Team RWBY, you will burn, right? And so that's the vibe of the speech, maybe a little bit more playful, right? And we see all these posters, right? So then throughout the town, we see all these wanted posters, and it's Team RWBY, and then throw Jean in there, why not? We see Neo sitting on the throne, and she's not the one talking. She's not the one giving the orders, but she's clearly the one that's in charge. Also, I know that they said that new outfits are too expensive, but like, can we hope?
They gave John a whole
I know!
makeover,
What was that about?
so...
Oh, you know, new models and new outfits are expensive, right? And I'm sure that the animators are telling the truth.
I'm an animator,
Like, I'm sure that
and I talk
expensive,
like this.
but they gave John a whole new bag.
Ironically, despite being an animator, I'm not giving myself very many frames of animation right
you know
now.
what I mean? Anyway, they gave Jean a whole new
If Neo's
situation.
gonna die, they might as well, like, give her one last...
Give her a new outfit for
One last-
fuck's sakes, right? And so
For
anyway,
old time's sake.
For old time's sake, right? And so then, okay, the camera pans from Neo onto the voice that is speaking. And it is Roman Torchwick. And he is the one that is giving the command, okay? And then it cuts to black. And that's the thing that we're all gonna freak out about at the end of episode 6 next week.
Everyone's gonna,
Roman Torchwick.
Yeah.
Roman will trend on Twitter.com.
There'll be fan cams.
Exactly. There will be, like, Roman will be trending. Somebody on Twitter from RWBY said, like, hey, make sure that you tag, like, and mute the spoilers
It was
next
Aaron,
week,
I believe.
right? Because, like, people will not be quiet and they will not tag their spoilers about this thing. And, like, people are like, Bumblebee kiss, but of course, me and my ultimate wisdom, I'm like, Roman? So I think that this makes a lot of sense, right? Because Neo has all the Jabberwalkers. She knows that people are afraid of them. And so instead of taking orders from other people, she is calling the shots. Like, she is in the girl boss era, and she threatens and basically does like a hostile takeover of Wonderland. And I find that very compelling and very interesting. And then we see Roman. Roman is the one speaking for her, because we see last episode that the Jabberwalkers, even though they're fake, can talk, which is not something that happened before with Neo's illusions. So that's very interesting too. So I think that we are going to see like Neo living her best life, and we're going to see Roman like doing the commands, and it can be a callback to that scene with the mech where Roman is rallying the White Fang members to work with him because he has the Atlas technology, and Neo's sort of like standing in the background, right? Like, it's a callback to that scene where Roman is doing the rallying again, rally the people to go get Team RWBY and everything, right? Like, to kidnap Team RWBY or else, and that's the vibe. And I think that that's pretty good. The only thing, like, I talked myself into this theory, and then I started to get worried because I was like, that has death flags, though, because if Neo becomes that much of an antagonist, they either need to get her to stop or kill her. Like, there's not a lot of choices. So that made me scared. Like, I talked myself into this big, like, cool idea of, like, Neo girl bossing, and now I'm like...
I love how girl bossing for us has basically replaced the words become a dictator.
Right. And so I'm saying, like, you know, I was thinking, and I was like, yeah, I love this idea. It sort of connects back. There's, like, a Wonderland musical where Alice goes back as an adult, and, like, there's a Mad Hatter, but she's, like, the new Mad Hatter. Something happened to the old Mad Hatter. And, like, they have this line, the Mad Hatter's a woman? And, like, the most, like, the fiercest woman in all of Wonderland. And she basically has this whole song where she says, hey, like, you better fall in line, and you guys better start, like, working for me, or I'm gonna kill all of you, and there will be nothing left of your world.
Murder you.
Like, there will be nothing left to defend. That's literally what they say in the song. And so I can see Neo doing that. And I think that that would be very cool and very funky fresh. And, like, maybe the Tea Party table is supposed to be her command center. Like, next time we check in with Neo, she's kind of, like, making herself royalty. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sitting at a throne in front of this table, having her tea as she watches the world, burn, right? But yeah, so what I'm concerned about this, though, is that, like, it would have death flags because they would need to stop her. You know what I mean? It makes Neo a threat to the world that justifies them killing her, and I don't like that. I think that's bad. I don't want Neo, because, like, if Neo is a threat to Team RWBY, they can, like, rectify that. If Neo is just a threat to Team RWBY, it's like how they gave Adam a chance to change. Like, they literally, even after everything Adam had done, they were like, if you leave now, like, we will not come after you. Like, just give up already, and we won't kill you. Like, they were literally forced to kill him. Whereas a character like Salem, obviously she's trying to destroy the world, so there is no peace. You gotta stop her, right?
Alternatively,
or Tyrion or something, right? And so the problem is, if Neo becomes a threat to world peace, right, to the entire world, they have more of a justification to kill her instead of just trying to reason with her, and I don't like that.
She crosses the, like, Emerald versus Tyrion.
And so I'm afraid. I'm a little scared.
Redeemability
right?
line. Alternatively,
well, like, they can still try to stop
what
her.
if it's that, like, Neo doesn't die, but she's trapped in the ever after, and she, like, stays the queen there? So they basically write off as like, well, we can't ever go back to the ever after because it's taken over by a mental dictator.
But, like, I feel like that there's, like, the themes of the volume, I feel like, don't necessarily line up with that so far. I just think that, like, Neo staying in her delusion when she's already so, like, mentally compromised, I think is a little weird. You know what I mean? Because it feels like that's like against her character to stay in the delusion. Like, it's in character for her to want to, but, like, in terms of the messages of the show, I think the problem with her staying in the ever after, but if you keep Neo in the ever after and, like, keep her in the fantasy just because she is a fantastical character with an overactive imagination, that kind of goes against the point of Neo, I think, a little bit, because the point, at least in Roman Holiday, is that she's making these delusions to cope, and so if you leave her there, she just never really gets better.
But maybe then she's, like, the message of, like, what happens when you can't ever move on.
I guess,
you get trapped in a violent world of your own.
Like, if it's a win for her, that's where I think it reads as, like, questionable, because she would probably enjoy that. Like, you know what I mean? In the situation you're presenting, it sounds like that Neo would be happy doing that, but that's not.
Maybe.
That
but
seems
she would
strange.
never. But she would also never get her revenge.
But, like,
she would just lash out to the people under her control.
I guess, but I think I just think that's weird, especially considering that, like, we're definitely gonna see Roman this volume, and so living her life with a fake Roman is, I think that's a little weird. Like, I think that's a little weird. It would be like Jean staying in the ever after to be with a fake Pyrrha. Like, can't you, like, I don't know how to explain it or articulate it that well at this current moment, but don't you see how that would be a little, like, anti-Jean's character? Yeah. Because the whole point of Jean is that he lost Pyrrha and how that loss shapes him, versus if he just lived in his delusion. Like, what does that
be like me, Jean.
Or what does that do? Like, right? And so I feel like that's, like, anti-Jean, and this is, like, anti-Neo. So she stays there and and is the queen of Wonderland, and they don't stop her, and she's just a tyrant who continues to, like, you know, be a tyrant after Team RWBY is gone. Also, what does that say about Team RWBY if they just let her torture the citizens of Wonderland and go home?
Well, it's not the first time they've left a place in, like, bad spot.
I know, but that's the whole point that they say this episode is that they're tired of doing that. So I think that's a little strange, too.
I guess so.
So, in conclusion, I'm a little worried about the outcome of this scenario, if true, but I do think it would be kind of girl boss. Like, I think that it would be kind of cool if like, Neo has, like, the entire ever after by the balls. What do you think about the theory, though? Like, just, like, in general?
I think that would be a really cool, like, evolution. I think that would be a really cool escalation. It would work, because right now it's just, like, the antagonist so far has just been, we're in this really weird world and we don't know what's up. So it's almost switching from, like, they seem to understand the world more now. So now the new antagonist is going to be, oh, Neo is taking over this place because she's the most powerful person here with an army, and she's going to kill us all. So that would be a really cool, and you get to have Roman, you get to have her be like a dictator, and I think that would be really great. I would love that, but it does kind of, I know that you want her to, like, break good and get out of there and marry Fox and have a bunch of babies with him. But it does seem to be teeing it up for, like, oh, she's dead now.
But we did have an idea that the cat at some point will be like, I'll fix it. I'll give her a new purpose.
Oh, maybe a change of heart.
I'll fix her. No. So we had this idea in the live stream, though, that there would be this situation where the cat actually tries to be like, I can change her heart. I can make her stop all this. Like, say that they get Neo at least close enough for the cat to be able to do that. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say that she's been beaten per se, but like they got her. You know what I mean? They have restrained her at least for a couple minutes that they could do something. But the Jabberwockies are still coming to like rescue her, right? And so the cat says like, let's make this easy. I'll just like change her heart and I'll give her a new purpose. So her purpose isn't to revenge and avenge Roman anymore. I'll do something else. What do you want me to do, RWBY? But then RWBY has this sort of moral question, like, you know, this ethical question of, is it right to force Neo to change and give up her memories of Roman? Because is that not like killing Roman like for a second time, right? Because the whole thing is that Neo right now,
but it's not really Roman. Maybe,
maybe
that could be part of Let
But
It Go.
I'm saying as a metaphor.
Yeah.
I'm saying as a metaphor. Like, is that not the same? Like, killing Neo's memories of Roman are the exact same, like on a metaphorical level, I guess, like for the sake of the story, as actually killing Roman. So if the problem right now is that Neo thinks that RWBY killed Roman, it would prove to Neo that RWBY did kill Roman if RWBY is willing to cause Neo to lose all her memories of Roman, because it shows the disregard for Roman's life in Neo's perspective, or like what Roman's life and what Roman meant to Neo. And so in Neo's mind, that would just be evidence that if RWBY is willing to have her memory wiped, right? Because we already talked about the fact that you will lose your memory. If RWBY is willing to have Neo memory wiped, that would prove to Neo that RWBY was willing to kill him in the first place, because RWBY never saw the value of like Roman's relationship with Neo, like what never acknowledged what Roman meant to Neo, basically. From Neo's perspective, I'm not saying that RWBY should have been more courteous to Roman, like on the airship, because obviously they were fighting or whatever. But from Neo's perspective, it would be like, oh, see, like I know that you did it because now you're just willing to memory wipe me and make me forget him and kill him all over, like basically kill him all over again. So I think that what could actually like do the change of heart thing to avoid the situation where we have to kill Neo because she's terrorizing all of Wonderland is the idea that RWBY says no. Like, if she wants to change, she has to make that choice. And they realize that the cat has been kind of sketchy, right? Like, this is when they realize that the cat has been sketchy. Because, like, the cat makes Hawks go on a suicide mission to protect them, right? He changes the purpose of Hawks to get Hawks to basically throw himself into the fight, and then Hawks is apparently dead. Like, Hawks probably dies, right?
Yeah,
so the cat has some like moral grayness in terms of using other people to protect Team RWBY. As they go through the story, the cat will do more things that are sus. And so when they suggest like, oh, well, this is easy. We'll just repurpose her. We'll just change what her purpose is. RWBY's like, actually, that's fucked up. I don't want you to do that. You use these like easy methods to solve your problems and you just repurpose people without giving them the choice to change. RWBY realizes that what the cat is doing and just the Ever After in general and the lack of choices that the Ever After has is fucked up. And so I think that that could actually change Neo if RWBY has like a speech of like, no, don't change her heart. Like, that's part of who she is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're going to fight normally, not take the easy way out. Like, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if she wants to fight me, we're going to actually fight, but you shouldn't change her against her will. And like, RWBY has sort of a hero speech. And maybe that's what talks Neo out of it, because then like RWBY will be acknowledging what Roman meant to her, like in that speech. Like, you can't just erase someone she loved from her memory like that, you know? And so I feel like that then after maybe like RWBY turns on the cat and then Neo's just like, okay. Like,
you are my new.
Interesting.
I have picked a new redhead.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Follow
Neo's
now.
like, well, I didn't expect her to say that or feel that way, and that sort of maybe resolves. Like, then the Jabberwockies slowly disappear, And I think that would be interesting. I don't know. And it would be have like empathy for the villain. So yeah, that's how we would solve it. I think that's basically it. I want to make a separate video about that because I do think that that is a very likely situation regardless of Neo's hostile takeover of the Ever After. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that you guys had fun. I guess we'll see what happens, right?
You have this remarkable skill in Force Scott when it comes to Neo. And it's like some people become like political advisors or economic advisors or business advisors. You're a Neo advisor.
What do you mean? Like advising someone what to do?
Yeah, you could sell your service and like, hey, if you're like writing for a Neo character, call me and you can have my consultation services.
But yeah, I hope that you guys had fun. I hope that you guys enjoy. And we will see you in the next one. Bye!